All right, y'all, ride with me as I review my 2025 year of the snake, the big molting, the mega shedding, so that I can succeed in the year of the horse, running, galloping toward my dreams. So 2025, I graduated from Columbia Journalism School. Huge accomplishment because Jesus Christ, that administration is wacko, and there are just some people who do not want you to succeed. Yet here I am. Went to Montreal with my dear Aaron Gold. It was my first time going there on my own terms. No parents, no sour partner trying to push me around and control me. I got to do what I wanted to do with a partner who wanted to do similar things. He wanted to feed the elk carrots. He wanted to eat the duck in the can because, yeah, that is a real delicacy there in Montreal. He wanted to go see the contemporary art. He wanted to see what living Indigenous artists are making today. He had no qualms about speaking French and saying merci everywhere we went. And it was adorable. And I loved him all the more for it. I went to Miami to accept an investigative journalism award. I finished 2 films in the fiction category. I mean, technically 3. So 2 of them were narrative, more cinematic style. One was 5 Ways I Didn't Marry You, that premiered at the New York Shorts International Film Festival, baby. It won an award for Best Editing at the New York Women in Film and Television Online Festival, which was a huge honor. Even though I didn't edit it, I did conceive it, and I was the lead, working with director Tom Dunn. I brought Canarsie Pier, another narrative short, to life, and that's doing its festival circuit now. You can tell that even though I am riding an electric bike, I am not using a motor just yet. Using my muscles, baby. So Canarsie Pier, I screened that at the Bryn Mawr Film Institute to acclaim. It's just another women-centric story that I created, and I'm also the lead in that. Then there's another film. It's actually my first ever art bitch movie, and it's not cinematic at all. It's definitely done in like a sloppy digital media kind of way, because that character is pretty social media centric, so it makes sense. She is social media obsessed. I had to get on the sidewalk because there was some nonsense going on with drivers on the road. That seems to be over. Yeah, but I was really proud of making that art bitch movie, especially because we improvised it based upon beats that Aaron and I had come up with in advance. He played Uncle Cornelius. We had Alan Rowe Kelly play my former classmate. We had Brian Christian doing the camera work. He functioned as a character too, this documentary filmmaker that Art Bitch has hired to follow her around. So it was a pretty ambitious project for something that we did in just one evening with no real planning. And I was very proud of how it came out. You can watch it on YouTube. It's gotten very high engagement, not a ton of views, but the people who are watching it all the way through, because Art Bitch has her fans. We did the Philadelphia Fringe Festival for the first time this year. That's another 2025 trophy. And that was just so stupid, so fun. Another Art Bitch thing. And Aaron was my number one man in that. He's always my number one man, but he is my number one collaborator when it comes to Art Bitch, as he plays Uncle Cornelius, our bitch's rich patron. And I was so happy about that. I was also really happy that I did this National Broadcast Institute that was run by the National Radio Institute. That was something I was not expecting, but I found out about it through a job application. Actually, they, I was supposed to turn this off before getting on the sidewalk again. Oh well. Okay, let me get on this baby. Yeah, I had to get on the sidewalk again because of some nonsense on the road. And yeah, you're not technically supposed to ride on the sidewalk, but sometimes there is road nonsense. And even though I'm supposed to follow the same laws as a car, basically it just does not make sense. You just don't have the same kind of security on an e-bike as you do in a car. How to protect yourself. Yeah, so I went to Georgia for that Broadcast Institute. That came to me because I had applied for a broadcaster job in Mobile, Alabama. And here's where some of the heartbreak of 2025 comes in. I had convinced myself that a solid middle class job, not exactly a 9-to-5, but basically the closest I can stomach at this point, would be as an on-air reporter. And then that's something that I could do while working on my own film and video projects. I had so many games played with my heart, but also this realization that that job is just not for me, especially with the broadcast companies that are in power these days. Most of the major broadcast companies are right-leaning, if not outright conservative. That is what is getting TV views, that kind of news. More liberal-leaning stuff is definitely more digital. Yeah, but I think I had convinced myself to going that route because it just seemed like a path with steps to follow, right? Just some level of security and predictability that I have not had for years. The problem is you really cannot be a progressive person who's outspoken in any kind of way in that world and keep a full-time job. You also have to deal with extreme burnout, and I have heard this over and over again from so many different people in the industry that there's really just no respect. It's just more and more piled onto you. So I had gotten a job offer. I actually got more than one job offer, but a job offer that I had signed with a start date. And I ended up not going for it because of the way that I was rung around, teased even a month before I started the job. And I go into detail about the full drama on TikTok, so I'm not going to bother doing it here right now. But it just was not something that I wanted to put myself through. I could already tell that was going to be a toxic work environment. And here's the thing. As a creative, I want a day job, if I'm going to have a day job, that's going to leave me energy to create. And if I don't have energy to create, then there's really no point. So I backed out of that job, which was through Nextstar, which, if you followed the whole Jimmy Kimmel debate, then you know, for me, that was a blessing to see early on that that was not going to be a good place for me to work. And then I was courted by 2 other Next Star stations in Wichita and Little Rock. That was a whole debacle. Even though Wichita gave me a job offer, Little Rock, which had given me a training. Even though Little Rock had given me a verbal job offer and flown me out there, just as Wichita had. Wichita, though, gave me a true formal, on paper job offer, right? And gone through the background check, and I went through the background check. I was successful in that. I have no skeletons in my closet. But Little Rock decided, hey, and I had a conversation with the news director that you're a New York artist. You should stay a New York artist. The audiences down here are not going to appreciate that. They're going to find out about your political views. They're going to watch the different videos you have online. You just have way too much online to bury at this point. Like, they talked about trolling. They talked about different harassment that had happened in the past when somebody more liberal leaning, and I'm very liberal, right, had come to work for the station, and he was all like, yeah, that would work for a New York audience, not an LA audience, blah, blah, blah. But if you watch my November 14th update, then you hear more about it. So why even bother? None of that even really matters at this point. Because basically, as soon as those job offers fell through, I started booking a ton of work here in New York, a ton of on-camera stuff. And live events, corporate speaking events, spokesperson kind of work, things that use my ability to speak, things that use my creative eye, things that use my writing abilities, all that, these different skill sets. And yeah, not much of it was capital J journalism, but that's fine. That wasn't my goal. Journalism was the backup plan. Journalism was the way to support my more creative work, my more artistic work. And I am very happy to work on a bunch of verticals, even if they're soap operas. I am very happy to be a background actor on a Netflix show. I am very happy to get personally invited to submit essays and photography and other creative work to major opportunities and apply for grants and win awards through pitching, through proposals. I was able, in this time since graduating from Columbia Journalism School, to finish my Village Halloween Parade documentary. That's the kind of independent work, even though it's nonfiction, that I would not be able to do at a TV station. So yeah, just a bunch of, as an on-air reporter, I should say, in a typical local market kind of job. Yeah, so those are all realizations about this year and experiences. I went to Vienna for the Austrian American Media Fellowship, which was incredible. It was almost 2 weeks of just being courted by the Austrian government and being able to see all these incredible things about the country. Going to Vienna, going to Salzburg, meeting various business leaders, cultural leaders, politicians. Like, I got to go to the United Nations. I went to Parliament. had meetings with all of these incredibly influential people. And I also learned that Austria had a huge Holocaust denial history, which meant they did not acknowledge their country's role in the Holocaust until 1978. Before that, the national narrative was just, oh, yeah, it's Germany's fault. We couldn't do anything. We were bullied by Germany. Like, what the fuck? That's horrible. That's the stance they took. But because of that, I went to a concentration camp. I went to a Shoah wall. We had different meetings related to ways that Vienna is attempting to make reparations now through different kinds of monuments and public education work. Unfortunately, on my last day in Vienna, I found out that my friend Megan Meehan died, and if you watched my November 14th update, then you heard all about that. But that was a huge heartbreak for this year, and I've had so many wonderful people reach out since then. Oh, thank you. I was on an intersection, which is always iffy if you're on a bike. Okay, I'm gonna have to turn off the bike. I am approaching my studio. I love how easy of a ride it is. It's just a straight shot because my studio is on the same street that I live on. It's just the Queens side, barely, like literally a block in. It's in Ridgewood. Okay, gonna turn off the e-bike. Yeah, 2025, film More in Love with Aaron. We did our Don't Mind If I Don't fashion and football episodes, which were funny and fun. And the fashion episodes won a ton of awards, which is great. Just pulling my bike onto the sidewalk. Okay, great. And I have so many more films and projects coming, but I think that's enough reflection for now. I won't say I'm quite out of breath, but it's time for me to rest. Happy 2026. It's almost here.